Now in this section, I want to take framing and composition just up a notch. It's very important when you're looking to frame shots to not always shoot everything at eye height. In this frame, for example, I've come quite low down to get a totally different perspective on Isabel. Now I'm a huge fan of converging lines coming into a frame, and I really like to use graphical elements in a frame to draw the eye into the shot. So what we've got here is I've actually framed with the corner of the fence just coming out here, so that your eye is drawn down the line to Isabel, and I'm shooting very, very low down. I'm on a 55mm lens. I'm shooting at f3.2. But you start to get, I think, more interesting, dynamic, and dare I say, more cinematic looking images by shooting at different lens heights. Now this is a technique known as stacking. And this is when you really start to raise your game, because you're putting multiple graphical elements in a frame that split up the frame to give you a sense of greater dimension. So what we've got here in the foreground, out of focus, is this pillar. I'm shooting at f4, and what I want to ask Isabel to do, Isabel, is just to walk towards camera and towards Linda. And what this does is just creates this sense of depth in an image, primarily because we've got lots of graphical elements which give a sense of scale to the shot. And again, I'm shooting at about 40mm here, and what the zoom lens allows you to do is work in between the traditional focal lengths. And that can be a very useful technique to just create greater sense of depth. Now, as I said before, you don't always have to shoot everything at eye height. I'm now looking at a shot which is tilted from quite a high position looking down. And there's two things happening in this frame. I'm going to pan, and what's going to happen is you're not going to see our character until we come round. And what I'm also doing is keeping this sign here in vision, and we're shooting at f4. It's out of focus because it's so close to the lens, and that gives what we can sometimes call a dirty frame. It's another version of stacking. It's putting something in the foreground which just adds a sense of depth and scale to our character, who looks somewhat lonesome sitting on the bench. I'm going to do this shot again because there's a plane crossing the sky. What would be really cool is, if you can start the shot there, is anticipate the plane as we come round. Not sure we can quite, oh, we can see the plane in shot and a boat pass frame. So this could be used for dramatic effect. You know, we could cut from the shot of her walking along here with that stacking and geographical lines of the wooden pillars, and then we pan around and we see her sitting on the bench. Again, using perspective to create a sense of drama. Why she's sitting on the bench? She looks kind of lonely in frame. So this could work very well for dramatic effect. Another form of stacking is when you put some object in the foreground out of focus, like this bush or this palm, and as the wind blows it, it just creates a texture. But in the back of shot, and again, we're still using this 17 to 55 at 55mm. What I've done is I've opened up to f2.8, and I'm just allowing the wind will pick up a little bit of patience required. We've got our subject there in the foreground, the bushes blow, and we've got different layers happening in the frame. We've got the out of focus analog look, if you like, of the bush. Then we've got the wall on the right hand side of frame. We've got a pillar almost in the middle of frame. The boat's just creeping into shot there, and we've got our character sitting on the bench. And because she's wearing yellow, she stands out against the rest of the scene. Another form of stacking, another form of layering. And this is something that I think, as you gain in confidence, you will figure out that it's okay. There's nothing wrong with dirtying the frame like this, where our subject is in the top corner frame. I'm still applying the rule of thirds. We're still a kind of 2/3 foreground, and then we've got her and then a bit of sky. Again, bending the rules slightly, but it's still there.